Hello, I'm Nate the Effing Great, and what did I just watch? Originally, what I was planning on doing was to have actually 5 different reviews for you guys, but unfortunately, due to financial issues, I was not able to see 50 Shades Darker, so that will actually be a movie that will be saved off for a later review. However, though, I do have 4 movies that I would actually like to review to you guys because they are actually pretty damn good movies. So, let's just not waste any time. Let's just get right into them. First, kicking things off is this independent movie that I just watched. It's more British-based, I believe, more in the UK area, called Killer Saurus. Basically, it's working with basically a 3D printer that doesn't work with like minerals. It works more with cells. So it started off as some guy had like 2 fingers cut off, and then he was able to somehow grow them back with this basically 3D printer. It was very interesting, to say the least. So they decided to take this 3D printer and they wanted to create a dinosaur, more specifically a T-Rex. And they succeeded. All in all, this was a pretty good movie, to say the least. I mean, the plot line is kind of all over the place. Characters are not as well developed as they should. I mean, there's only like 3 scenes. There's like the shed, the laboratory, and an apartment place. That's about it. I mean, it's a very low budget film, but all in all, it's not one of the worst films I've actually seen. I actually do applaud them for making the T-Rex almost like the T-Rex from Jurassic Park, because they had like, I guess, a puppeteering or mechanic deal. So it was very interesting to kind of see that. One of the things I actually thought was actually pretty clever that they did was, instead of doing like frog DNA like they did in Jurassic Park, they actually did alligator DNA, which I think makes a little bit more sense, because I think that with alligator DNA there's a little bit more I guess ferocity, a little more killer instinct inside of them than it would be with a frog. So it was actually a lot more of a better, well thought out plan, I think, than Jurassic Park did. But all in all, I thought this was actually a pretty good movie. There's just a couple spots where it was just like, well, I think they could have done this just a little bit better. Like like I said, the plot was still kind of filled with holes. The explaining was kind of just long-winded. The T-Rex kind of did more staring than killing. They had this whole deal where they wanted to make this T-Rex into like a super weapon, that they didn't reveal that until the end, and then they wanted to make like a T-Rex super soldier, so they threw one guy in there as a test, but due to an error, he looked just basically like a complete freak of nature. And then they also left the laboratory with the shed open, and the T-Rex is getting out. Then they roll the credits. Is there going to be a sequel? Is there going to be a prequel? Is there going to be something going off on that, or are they just going to assume that, we're just going to let a T-Rex into the world, and everybody's basically screwed? Okay. Yeah. I mean, like I said, though it being a low-budgeted film, I thought it was really good. It's just there's just some very basic plot holes that needed to be filled up. And I think that, maybe some of the Animation, I would say animation. I think some of the storytelling could have been better. But I think the acting was done pretty well. I thought that the characters were presentable. Some of their intentions really made sense. So it wasn't all like a horrible movie, like I said. It was just one of those movies where it was like, okay, it's not bad. So all in all, I think I'd probably give this maybe 2 stars. But like I said, it's better than Chernobyl Diaries. It's better than The Bye Bye Man. Not quite as high up as the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. And that's a lot for me to say because I've already spoke quite a few times on how I feel about that movie. Moving on to the next movie is Pete's Dragon, the live-action remake that happened last year. Basically talking about a boy and his dragon and just the many adventures that they kind of go with each other. A recreation of the classic Pete's Dragon, which came out in 1977, I believe. I did enjoy the first part of the movie where they kind of explain Pete's story, where how he came to be an orphan, how he met Elliot, kind of how things came to be. The rest of the movie, I lost interest. And the reason why was because I thought that the kid just got really annoying after so long. He kept saying, Elliot, it just got annoying, and there just came a point where I think him and Elliot started doing like animal noises to kind of communicate with each other. There just came a point where I was just like, okay, just shut up. Just shut up, okay? There was no real originality. Well, there was more originality when it came down to this than anything, because this did not feel like the live action, the Pete's Dragon that I remember seeing back in the day. And this was honestly one of my favorite movies. So watching this live action remake, I looked at it and I thought, it doesn't really do too much for me. It's one of those things where it's like, I could live with it, I could live without it. It just didn't make too much sense. The ending was happy, but not in the way that I would have liked it to be. Because, okay, let me basically fill out what the differences were. In the original one, 1977, Elliot says that he has to go away and help another kid with his, with his problems. And Pete has to realize that, he has a family of his own now, and Elliot's not going to be there for him anymore. So it was kind of a bit more of a emotional deal, but they still ended it on a bit of a high note, where it's like, even though they're not there for each other anymore, they're still going to be there for each other, on the inside. It was kind of more of a happy ending where it's like, hey, Pete's finally got a family that will love and care for him. Elliot's happy with where Pete is at. It's just one of those movies where it felt good. I mean, the music was great. Everything about it, the character-wise, plot line was good. Everything just worked out in its entirety, whereas this one more dealt with the fact that Pete was basically a wild boy left in the woods for 6 years, something like that. And, I just did not enjoy this movie at all. So, all in all, I think I would give Pete's Dragon a 3-star rating out of 5. Just because it was average. It wasn't like one of the best things that I had seen, but it's not the worst. So, it's one of those things where it was just like, it's kind of like Cinderella. Unless you have a little bit of that originality from the original movie, you can't exactly make it something different. Like I said, The Jungle Book, great. I'm hoping that with Beauty and the Beast will be amazing. It looks like they have the original music. It looks like they have a lot of the original characters. So that is good. It looks like the original plotline is there. So it looks like things are going to be working out very well. Fingers crossed. So all in all, Pete's Dragon, just this live action remake was okay. I didn't really enjoy it too much, but it is what it is. But let's move on to something that actually really will make people happy and is one that I highly recommend. The Lego Batman movie. Whew! man, just when you think that they couldn't just outdo the Lego movie as it was, this movie definitely not only did it, but it surpassed the expectations that even I was expecting. I remember talking to my co-host Max about this, and he already saw it before I did, and he said it was a great movie. They did a lot of references to a lot of like the classic Batman villains. I think they had like, what is it, Calendar Man, Condiment Man, all of these crazy villains that Batman had, I think during like the Adam West days. They even showed a little bit of footage of Adam West, which was pretty interesting to say the least. But this story basically talks about Batman just realizing that it's okay to let people into your life and to also find that other family, because obviously there is no replacing your original family. But when you feel good enough, you can be happy again, and you can spend time with a lot of people who care and love you. And it starts off basically, just with Batman and Alfred, and then it evolves into to Batman, Alfred, and Robin, and then you have Batman, Alfred, Robin, and Barbara Gordon was her name? Yes. Just building up, they're battling against Joker and all of these villains that you just remember seeing. They showed Bane, Poison Ivy, Two-Face, Harley Quinn, so many of these different characters, and oh my gosh, Zach Galifianakis in this voice role of the Joker, he did great. It was awesome. I honestly didn't think that he could be one of those guys who could kind of be serious but also funny, but he pulled it off in this movie. I thought that he did a tremendous job voicing the Joker. He kind of showed a little bit of that craziness that only the Joker can provide. Zach Galifianakis did a tremendous job. So definitely props to that. Will Arnett, again, just great as Batman. I mean, just awesome. What was really cool is that they even actually showed like promotional deals with Batman where he they show like all the old posters but Lego versions of like Dark Knight Rises, Dark Knight, Batman Begins, Batman Robin, Batman Forever, all the way to like the classic Adam West deals, and it was awesome just seeing all these references that came out of it, and just the story behind it of basically accepting people into your life. It just was very well done. Will Arnett, again, great as Batman. Zach Galifianakis, awesome as Joker. Michael Cera as Robin, funny. I think Michael Cera just has those moments where he could be funny, but he could also be kind of stupid at the same time. This is one of those things where he was just flat out funny. He just really hit it home. It was awesome. Everything about this movie was great. Definitely, I would put it at like a 4.5 stars out of 5. It was just that funny. It was that entertaining. It was that good. Definitely one of the movies that I will recommend for movie feature of the year. And to top it off, we get a Ninjago Lego movie coming out, I believe, in October or September, I believe it is. Already they're right off the bat saying, hey, we feel confident about this movie. Let's get into the next chapter. Let's bring out the next one. They even include for Batman the Master Builder deal, which, oh my gosh, that was awesome. It's like, wow, they did a reference to basically what he was doing back in the first movie. It was great. It was just awesome just seeing that. So definitely highly recommend the Batman Lego movie to anybody, adults or children, because this was just a great movie. I barely saw any plot holes in here, but also it was just one of those movies where he had a lot of even adult humor that was even in there. Just really made this movie just great. Alright, so we go from that one to the movie that I talked about on Wednesday with Victory Bell, The Shallows. Definitely Oscar nomination worthy. This movie, I didn't know what to expect. Blake Lively, I've seen in a lot of other movies. One main movie that I remember seeing her was the movie Accepted with her, Justin Long, Jonah Hill, Louis Black. A lot of the great characters from there. So it was very interesting to see how she was going to do this. A lot of people say this is basically a combination between Soul Surfer as well as Jaws. it kind of was a combination of the two of them, and it really